Reconstruction, where I'm sharing from my coaching curriculum some ideas of how we live a more full, sustainable, and powerful life. So come join me. Love for you to let me know where you're joining from, and let's spend some time together today on YouTube and TikTok. We connect together around place. And so my name is Paul. I'm in Fresno, California. And I am an emotional and spiritual well-being coach and pastor. And I do a coaching curriculum and cohort-based learning called Reconstruction U. And I'm sharing from that today in our 5 days of reconstruction. And I'm glad for you to join. And in the midst of it all, I'll offer you a special offer for my coaching for this season in what has been a distressful season for some, and I get it. So we're going to offer something special for everyone. So I want to talk to you today about, we're going to talk about the idea that mistakes make us human, not sinners. And a big part of what I often have to combat when coaching and working with people who have a religious background is we have to start to undo some bad theologies, theologies of original sin and human depravity, and bad theologies that say the flesh is evil. Anything human needs to be disregarded or destroyed. Anything of human emotion or human desire are bad and need to be put away and need to be just taken to the cross and let Jesus take care of them. And it is an extremely unhealthy mindset in which to live and damaging to human beings. And so I want to tell you today the theology of original sin, the theology of human depravity, and the theology of all flesh is bad are all not well supported theologies in the Bible, and they're extremely destructive to human beings and to emotional well-being. And that's why it's really important to know that mistakes don't make you a sinner. Mistakes make you human, and mistakes are actually part of the amazing journey of being a human being and of this thing we call life. So again, my name is Paul, and I'm Pastor Paul on social media and an emotional and spiritual well-being coach. I want to tell you why making mistakes make us human, not sinners. And I heard a story. I used to be a sportscaster. Let me think about it. Before I got into doing what I'm doing now and being a pastor, I was a sportscaster, and I would deal with a venerable old coach from our area for many years. And one of the things that coach told me was that as coaches, they never told their players, don't fumble. He said, the minute you start talking about fumbling, you're taking the focus away from the potential to do something great to focus on the avoidance of a mistake. He said, so what they would do is never tell a player don't fumble, because they wanted them to be concentrating on scoring a touchdown, not hoping that they didn't fumble. And the coach then said, every once in a while, then a player does fumble, don't they? So what do you do when a player fumbles? He says, they don't go back to don't fumble. What they start to tell the player is, why did you fumble? Let's break down why you fumbled, because you're not a person who fumbles the football. And they would talk about any fundamentals that were missing in the player's action or what they were doing and why they fumbled. And he said, then they would encourage the player and immediately, as quickly as possible, try to get the ball to that player again to reinforce the idea of, even though the player had fumbled, they were not somebody who fumbles the football. And in life, we make mistakes. And sometimes our religion, our parents, our authorities have told us, don't do that. You need to not make mistakes. You need to not be lazy, not be fat, not be a bad child, not be someone who's distressing the peace of the house. And instead of saying those things, we need to be asking, why did we do what we did? The reason we do the things we do that sometimes we classify as wrong or sin is because every human being on earth needs three basic things. We need safety, value, and purpose. We need to know that we're going to survive. That's a very basic of humanity. All other needs in life will go away when we feel ourselves threatened and our safety and our sense of justice threatened. Once we have safety intact, we want to know that we're valuable. We want to know we matter to somebody. And if we matter to somebody, then we want to know we have a purpose and a reason to exist on this earth. So the things that we do in life that religion or bad parenting or bad theology would tell us are wrong are because we're trying to find our safety and our value most often in some space that may not be the most healthy way to do it. But if we have no tools to get safety and value otherwise, we're going to reach for the unhealthy ones. And when we have theologies like original sin and human depravity, we're having the very tools that would help us analyze why we do things taken away. And instead, we're just being told, don't do those things. So now we're focused on not doing the negative, of avoiding the negative, instead of our potential of what we can do if we understand who we really are, that we're not one who fumbles, we're somebody who goes for touchdowns. And in life, we need to be told on a regular basis, you're not somebody that fumbles and stumbles and is bad. You have potential to do incredible things. The book of Romans says it this way in the Bible. To remove the idea of good or bad or right or wrong, but focus on the why. And it says that the law, it says in Romans, creates opportunity for focus on sin. The law, like if you're in a religion that is rule-based that says, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, or else you're going to go to hell, it creates more opportunity for sin. It's not the solution for sin. It creates the opportunity for more sin. It's like prohibition in the United States. It didn't stop people from drinking alcohol. It actually created more types of sins that didn't exist before prohibition was put in place. Legalism and law doesn't provide a solution for sin. It actually creates new ways to feel shame. And Brene Brown, one of my superheroes, says, guilt says I did something bad. Shame says I am bad. Guilt tells me I did something that I need to clean up because I'm human. Shame says I'm bad at my core and need to defend myself at all cost because safety, value, and purpose are what I'm going to fight for. And so if we can remove shame from our life, and far too often it's our religious beliefs, it's our parents who are bringing the shame. When we remove that shame, we start to look at our potential of who we can be and what we're capable of, rather than trying to avoid not doing the bad things in life. So that theology of original sin and human depravity have focused human beings away from considering our potential to instead focusing on the opportunity to fall short. And that's despite the fact that Jesus says in John 3:17 that he wasn't commissioned to come into the world to condemn the world, but instead to sozo it, to reconcile it to its potential of what it was at creation. That Jesus' story was to say, you're amazing, and it's too bad that people have told you otherwise through religion. Be crazy. Don't be crazy and focus on who you are as a sinner, but instead look towards the potential you have as a human being. Sozo means to be reconciled as you were intended to be at the beginning. You are inherently valuable. You have inherent potential for good because you breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. not because of what you do, but because of who you are. You have potential to be a powerful force for positive transformation in the world. And it's sad when religion or parents who think they're doing what they're supposed to be doing by not sparing the rod teach us that we're bad and that our potential is more for a proclivity for bad than for good. And we have to work that through in my coaching. And that's why I do my Reconstruction U coaching cohorts, which you can find about on my website right now at pastorpaul.com. You are a human being, not a human doing, inherently valuable. And that's why we work in the coaching that I do to recraft our identity story to say, I'm not what my mom told me I was. I'm not what my religion told me I was. I am created with incredible potential for good in partnership with the divine goodness of heaven. And that was the message of Jesus. And when we're taught bad theology like original sin and human depravity, we're having our humanity stolen from us, and we're being told something that is valuable and special and inherently good is bad, and it robs us of a very important component of identity. Jesus' major command, right, was love your neighbor as yourself. Love God, love your neighbor as yourself. Yet religion tells you don't love yourself. And my question is, how can love, true love, flow through me to my neighbor if I'm not allowed to love myself first? So that's my message for you today. I'll take your questions and thoughts in a moment, but first I want to tell you, if you live in a life where your story has been crafted through religion or parenting or just life itself has beat you down to think, I'm not sure what I have to offer to the world, or I'm in a season where I see these things happen around me and I want to be part of the transformation of where culture is today, but I don't know how to do it. I want you to come and join me for a one-on-one, and let's talk about how I can help you with Pastor Paul and my cohort coaching through Reconstruction U. Many of us have lost some of our identity and our community identity by leaving our church behind, by seeing that we just can't be a part of an ideologically married religion anymore, of a political party married religion. And so we're somewhat walking through life now saying, well, who am I? What are my beliefs? And it can be very disconcerting and upsetting. And if that's you, you're not alone. There's a bunch of us out there walking through asking the same questions, and we're joining together in my Reconstruction U coaching cohorts. It's a 12-week online cohort-based learning system with one-on-one meetings with me on an ongoing basis and cohort meetings where we work through the issues of our identity, our mindset, and our ability to transform the world together. We learn valuable, healthy tools for gaining our safety, value, and purpose. And if you have ever thought, I read the self-help book, it was so good, and then I put it on the shelf and it didn't impact my life at all, then it means it's a time that maybe you need somebody to help mentor and coach you through that. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback in all the history of the NFL, and he would tell you, you need a coach to help you be accountable, to help you be innovative and intentional. My two I's, innovation and intentionality, for being able to make change that is sustainable and transformative in your life. So if you go to my website, pastor-paul.com, pastor-paul.com, you'll land on a splash page there that will tell you how to sign up for a one-on-one with me, and we can discuss how my coaching can help you. So go to pastor-paul.com to sign up today, because you are a human being, not a human doing. And making mistakes doesn't make you a sinner. It makes you human. And don't let anybody in any religion tell you differently, because they're wrong. All right. What are your thoughts, questions this morning? I pray you really get to know who God is. Why do you say religion teaches us not to love ourselves? Because religion teaches us that we're sinners, that because of Adam, we were born into original sin, and we're sinful without having any choice in the matter. And that's simply not true. No disrespect, good sir. Well, we know where this is going. The only guide I have is my brother communicating to me. That's why we get baptized. No, nope, it's not. We get baptized to demonstrate a covenant with heaven, not because we're bad people. Salvation, even in religious theology, salvation doesn't come by baptism. That's really bad teaching from the Bible. Baptism is a symbol, a mystical opportunity to symbolize a joining of a religious belief system and of connection to God. Straight from heaven, and you cannot change my mind. Well, that tends to be true about anybody who's deeply ingrained and indoctrinated in a religious system. You can never change their mind about anything. You can never think anything other than what you've been indoctrinated to know. So I would say you're probably telling very much the truth there. James, it's always good to ask critical questions. Have you looked Jesus as you all know him in the face? Did you know he is brown skin tanned? That's what we do here. Ask questions. Question what we have been taught. I am not religious. I hear that from a lot of Christians, and then they tell me their religious theology. So I would love to know how you feel not religious. That's fine. Struggling with depression and feeling like I'm not worthy of those I give so much love to. So, Rachel, I'm sorry to hear that. What tells you that you're not worthy of love? This is what I do in my coaching. So, can you tell me what tells you you're not worthy of love? One must first have the spirit reborn in order to understand God's word. Or one can be logical, use the logic that was created in them to think. And yes, we can have wisdom partnered from heaven. But again, see, religion teaches you you don't have the ability to think without joining a particular religion. You don't have the ability to do good without joining a particular religion. And you're basically bad and not smart if you don't join this particular religion. And that's why religion becomes so dangerous in, in taking away our value of ourselves and our humanity. I have my soul, then I have the backing and trust of my heaven plus the most high of the highest heaven. Okay. But I don't know, is thinking and rationality and love for yourself a part of all of that? Your own brain. Okay, so in general, Rachel, our own brain doesn't tell us those things about ourselves. It doesn't tell us we're not worthy. Somebody put that story into our core in the past. It's a parent, it's an authority figure, somebody who was supposed to be crafting our identity of value in our life, our pastor, when we were younger, told us we're not good, and the story stuck to our heart and soul. One of the things I tell people to do is test our kidneys. When you feel that depression and that feeling of unworthiness, then think, where is that voice coming from? And stop and feel your physiology and think about your emotions. And generally, a memory will pop up, a picture or something from your life that will show you whose voice that is that's telling you you're not good. And I promise you, it's not your voice. It may be your voice mimicking what somebody else told you in the past, or what was crafted out of an incident or um, opportunity that told you you're not good. But we can rework that story. We can start to recraft that story to tell yourself you're not what that person told you that you are. energy people give you. Yeah. So see if your father crafted that story for you, Rachel. What we have to start to do is start to recraft a different story where you begin to tell yourself, my father was wrong about me. And I can have grace for him. He may have done it from his own unhealthiness, but the truth is he was wrong. And I'm not going to let him tell me my story anymore. So I guess my question is, how do you not place that expectation upon people or that burden? How do you not become the one telling that story to people around you? Is that what you're asking? What I say to parents of children is, at the end of the day, what you want children to know is that you think they're the greatest freaking thing that ever happened in your life. You love them beyond belief. And when they walk out of your house and they know they're loved and valued, goodness will flow from them. And then what you do is you don't say a mistake makes them bad. You understand it makes them human. And when they do something wrong, you start to ask questions. Why did you do that? Say, like, if a child lies to you, the question is not like, why do you lie? Are you inherently a liar? The question is, why did you not feel safe to tell me the truth? Am I creating an atmosphere and an environment with you where telling the truth feels unsafe? Kids don't lie because they're just inherently liars. They lie because they want to avoid punishment. They want to avoid that look of anger in mom's face at all cost, even though generally the lies are very bad lies and easily provable to be wrong. So we just need to tell our children, you're amazing and you made a mistake today. That makes you human. It doesn't make you bad. And then the other thing we do for our children is we start working on our own health and well-being. And as we're doing it, we be very open and transparent with our children. I'm working on me. And I think that's about the most important thing I can do for you as my child, is to love myself, because when we love ourselves, we're able to love our neighbors. We're able to love those around us. 40 years of therapy and lots of love later, I forgive my parents for being human. So what I tell my coaching clients in Reconstruction U is, we can forgive our parents. We can hold a tension here, two hands. We hold this tension. I can forgive and have grace for my parents because I know they were human and doing the best they can. But I also can be fully present to the fact that what they did hurt me. Particularly if we were traumatized by our parents. But for any parent, parenting is tough. So we can have grace for our parents, knowing it's a tough job, and also be present to, and what they did hurt me. Because what happens, and this is particularly religious teaching, honor your mother and father. So I'm going to have grace for my parents, which means I'm going to take all the pain on myself. I'm just going to forgive and move on. I'm just going to give it to Jesus and forget and forgive them. They know not what they do. And this means then I have to carry the pain of what happened on me for my parent. I have to maintain my parents' well-being when in fact it was their job to maintain mine. And when we live in an unjust world where the people who are supposed to be giving us hope and value are instead bringing trauma and fear, then we grow up with a warped sense of justice and of value in our lives. Because as a child, we've got to craft a world that's just. And so if our parents are not treating us with value and the love that we need to be connected as human beings, then the story we start to craft in our mind to make the world make sense is, the reason these bad things are happening to me from my parents is because I'm bad. And if I was just a better person, my parents wouldn't treat me this way. We have to craft a world that makes sense in the mind of a child. And so we create a world whereby the bad things my parents are doing are my responsibility. And if I just be better, more of a perfectionist, keep my room more clean, um, despise myself more, then the bad things my parents are doing to me or the way they treat me will stop. It helps when your parents acknowledge your trauma. It absolutely is vital. And if your parents cannot acknowledge your childhood trauma, that's a space where you have to build a boundary, because their refusal to acknowledge your trauma is a re-traumatizing experience. So Rachel says, mine never will. I'm 35. So that means you're going to have to recraft that story and be able to say what my parents did to me was wrong. I can have grace for them, but what they did was wrong. And they may never be able to apologize for it. So I'm going to build a boundary around that. That's going to be an impediment to our relationship, because I care about me first, just as Jesus taught me that I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and I'm going to craft my story around what is true for me. We don't have to be victims to our parents refusing to acknowledge the trauma they gave. We just have to start to recraft that story and even have internal conversations where we say, what mom and dad did was wrong. It was probably inflicted through the parenting they received and the religious upbringing they brought. Jamie says, Rachel, I'm sorry, it's your truth, and I'm sorry they don't want to hear you. That makes me cry. Yeah, Rachel, we can have people around us acknowledge the trauma and say it was wrong. Because again, the world you have to craft as a child is, my parent is mistreating me. They're inflicting trauma on me. They're the ones that should be bringing my value and joy, and instead they're inflicting trauma. And again, what we craft as a story as a child is, I must deserve this. And so as an adult, we have to start to recraft that story. Be the adult in that child's life, that younger version of us, where we say, no, you weren't bad. You didn't deserve that to happen. That was your parent who was wrong. They didn't know what they were doing, and they inflicted trauma upon you. And they'll never be able to face up to it because their pain is so deep, they're not going to be able to acknowledge it. By the way, with Rachel's great question about how do we not pass it on, tell your children, when I do something that hurts you, I want to know. I want you to share it with me. Or if you have older adult children, and this is what we've had to do with our children, is say, we want to know what we did that caused you pain, because we want to be able to process that through with you. So I'm glad. Tears, by the way, Rachel, aren't signs of being broken. They're signs of being human. And tears are very, very, very important, very physiologically vital to cleansing our heart and changing us. So I'd love to know where people are joining from. If you can just tell me where you are, you're welcome, Rachel. And if you want to go to my website, pastor-paul.com, there's a link right on the page that you'll come to that you can set up a one-on-one and we can chat and see how I can help you. Jamie says, there are no closets or secrets in my house, is what we tell our kids. Hi, Jamie from San Jose. All right, Rachel, cool. I'll look forward to connecting with you. So I'm Pastor Paul. I'm in day 2 of Springfield, Missouri. I think we've had this conversation before. I spent a lot of time in Springfield, Missouri in my life. Ellen, Indiana. All right, Ellen. Buffalo. Paul from Ohio is on YouTube. Hi, Paul. So Reconstruction U is my coaching cohort curriculum teaching. I do it in a couple of ways. I do it in cohort teaching, or you can do self-guided curriculum work with one-on-ones. All of that information is on my website, pastor-paul.com. And right now, during 5 days of Reconstruction, we're in day 2 of those 5 days. If you go to pastor-paul.com, I'm giving a 40% discount on my coaching because I understand we're all a little bit concerned about money right now. So I just wanted to offer this special opportunity. And in going to the website, you'll have a link there where you can schedule a free one-on-one with me, and we can just chat about where you are and what I can do to help. Um, Hi, Rachel's from Champaign, Illinois. Champaign, Urbana, right? Is that the area? So yeah, pastor-paul.com. And I have amazing stories. You can see some of them on the website of people that have had their offer, sorry, I was just reading something on the screen, that have had their lives radically transformed by our coaching work. And I love it. It's the best pastoring I've ever done by far. Champaign Urbana, Rachel. That's great. All right. What other questions, thoughts do you have from Ohio and Indiana and San Jose and Illinois? Thanks for the likes, Jamie. Make sure to follow my page, go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, and sign up for my newsletter on my website, pastor-paul.com. A little more coffee in the morning. Yeah. I've heard said Christian counseling doesn't seek to heal you, it seeks the agenda of the church. Agree. I do agree. You would be a good druid. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, most often what Christian counseling is trying to get you is back to the Christian norm and get you there as quickly as possible. It misses the process of grieving, of doing the work of intentionality and innovation to bring change, and it has a cookie cutter outcome that it looks for far too often. Yeah, no, they're not. I'm just about to make my coffee this morning. It's a work from home day. Sometimes we have to mute the immature that can't handle the comment section. I think Justin Bieber's in his 20s, and I think my glasses are a year old. It's funny how social media makes people like 6-year-olds again, like we used to make crank calls to people and think it was so funny. Steven says, I can see why poet linked me to you, LOL. All right. I don't know what that means, but yeah. Thank you, Jamie. I was raised in a very conservative, both politically and theologically conservative Christian home, a home where my father was an abuser of his children, particularly me, and was a pastor in our church. So when you're a child and your dad is a pastor, and he was a somewhat significant pastor, that man is God. He is your whole world. And when his reactions to you are abusive and his theological teaching is you're going to hell and you're inherently bad, that can do nothing other than traumatize a child. That type of religion is a trauma-inducing religion for a child. And it's something that I've decided I've got to speak out against. My father was an abuser, and he was an abuser in part because he had religious punishment meted out on him and maybe some other trauma that I don't know about in his childhood. And he worked and lived and believed in a religious system that taught you don't get help for emotional issues. You read your Bible and pray and you say that it's okay. And so he did. He wasn't okay. He did bad things in our household. My mom covered for him. And that's what bad theology does to human beings. It destroys the human soul. And so it's very important that we start to unravel the idea of God being mad at us, that our flesh makes us bad, that being human is a bad thing. Have you read Black and White Bible, Black and Blue Wife? I have not. That title makes makes my skin crawl. Rachel says, my daughter is a Jamie. Jamies are unique. Oh, that's beautiful. That's how my father grew up, says Rachel. Yeah. Too often, people who are raised in a staunch fundamentalist religious system will transfer that belief system onto their children. So yeah, this is day 2 of my 5 days of reconstruction. Our cohort starts in May. And so if you're thinking, I would like to be a part of the positive transformation of culture today, you've maybe left your community of religion behind and you're feeling like the ground is moving under your feet a little bit. That's good. That's a wonderful space to be in because you can start to reevaluate your story at that point. Sometimes belief systems, identities, community relationships must die in order for something new to come on the other side. But we have to be present to see what is new coming on the other side. It says in Romans 12, 1 and 2, don't be conformed to the age that you're in, but be radically transformed by the ongoing renewing of your mind so that you can know what is good and right and the perfect will of God in a season. So this is what we do in my coaching is we say, what is your story that you're telling yourself? Who told you that story and why? And how do we start to craft a new identity and a new mindset so you're not working from the deficit of what you were taught as a child in a religious household or in a system of discipline and parenting that didn't serve you well. Rachel says, crazily, I developed my own sense of religion. My parents never spoke of God or religion. Well, sometimes our parents aren't religious. They don't go to church, but they just have the pressure of our cultural religion. There is a cultural religious mindset in America, and some of it call it being a Christian nation, and they want to make America great again, not thinking that that cultural religious system is a bondage onto people that gets passed down through the generations. I still struggle with the why and how they get those thoughts from the Bible. Father grew up in the Nazareth church. Mom was never religious, just believed in Jesus. Good morning, David. Good morning to see you. Hi, Carol. Good morning. I saw you got on my calendar with a one-on-one. So if you go to pastor-paul.com right now, you can sign up for a one-on-one with me, and we can talk about how I can help you with my online coaching and mentorship services for you who are walking through a season of who am I now? What do I believe? What does my identity look like? I love having those conversations with people. And I've literally had people change careers because they realize, wow, I am not living out my full purpose in life. And I've seen incredible things happen in people's lives. So I'd love for you to check it out at pastor-paul.com. All right, just a few more minutes. Any more questions or thoughts? It's been a season. Yeah, it has been for a lot of people. For a lot of people. All right, looks like we're good. So pastor-paul.com is where to go to find out more about Reconstruction U and how we can work to help craft a new story for you. And I would love to chat with you about it. Buffalo, I'm sorry, I'm headed out now, and I don't have time to jump on another topic because I gotta go get ready for another meeting. But if you go to my website, pastor-paul.com, sign up and get an account on there, you can go to my community chat board. You can click on that community tab and it'll take you to a chat board, and there's a Q&A section where you can ask questions on there and I'll respond. So that'd be great. All right, guys. Love you. Thanks for joining me. YouTube. We'll see you guys later.